Psalm 127:1 says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain." In whom do you trust for your protection? Is it all on you? Is it local law enforcement? Or is there a better source? We're going to talk about that today.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 46 of Side by Side Business. We're your hosts, Larry and Sue Pruitt, and we are super excited to share the second episode in a 4-part series on Psalm 127. We talked last time about God being our provider. Today, we're going to talk about God being our protector.
Yes. And this psalm, if you didn't listen to the last episode, it would be helpful to go back and to get that. But this psalm is just so meaningful to us, and it applies so much to a married couple, to a family, to entrepreneurs. And so we just thought this was worth our time, and hopefully your time of listening to talk about this, really break it down point by point to our 4-point alliterated outline and everything. So we've talked about his providing for us, and now we're talking about him protecting us. And so you want to jump into that?
Well, just we were talking before we actually started recording. We were talking about the fact that there are things built into us naturally.
Yes.
That for most men, there's this built-in idea of protecting in one way, and women it comes out another way. But like you talk about, like you have to be the one to go around the house and lock the doors at night.
Yeah.
You check around the perimeters and all those other things that you do.
Yeah. And I just think it's just a natural thing that God puts in for men is that we want to protect. And so at the home, like what you said, just locking the doors could be simple things. It can just be kind of aware of what's going on around. And so even like who we allow to come into the house, under what circumstances, we want to be welcoming and everything, of course, but men have a tendency to be very mindful of that, even like how the house is set up, how we talked last time about, we built the house. And so even some provisions on how we would build the house and such. But then also like thinking about outside of the home, if we are at a restaurant. Okay, this is maybe going to sound like really weird, but whenever I sit at a booth across from each other, I want to be able to be facing out, looking at the door, just because that's where people are kind of coming in, and I don't know what I'm going to do if I see some,
you want to be aware,
thief coming in or something like that. But I want to be aware, and it's just kind of natural, like. Couple times, like you would sit on that side and I'm like, hey, do you mind switching with me? And you're like, sure, why? And I'm like, I don't know, but it just seems instinctive for me to want to be aware of the surroundings. We kind of joke about this. I've joked about this with some other guys, that whenever I drive somewhere, I go one route there, if possible. I go one route there and I go a different route on the way home. And at one point, some guy, I think he was in the military, and he just said, "Oh, that's that's the more secure way to do it." And I was like, I wasn't really thinking about that as being a security. Like, I don't really think anybody is tailing us on our way to church or anything like that.
Right.
But it's just, there's some sort of an instinct, and I think probably a lot of the guys will be able to relate to this. If you're going to the zoo or something like that, you're just constantly scanning the crowd, like, because you're pushing a stroller, but you're looking around, and I'm not terribly intense with it, but I'm just constantly aware of that.
Yeah. And ladies, take some security in that. That's kind of a nice thing. That's one of the ways that your guy shows you that he cares. But honestly, for women, it comes out also kind of in that mama bear mode, you see anything that you think might hurt one of your kids, boy, you're going to go into protection mode. I mean, there's even stories I've heard since I was a kid, stories of moms who see like their child gets pinned by a car or something, and the mother's able to like lift the car and move it to get it off of her child. It's like this almost superhuman strength takes over because she's protecting her child. And so we tend to do that. I know I had a child with some pretty severe allergies that I had to be very, very careful about what came around him so that he didn't have an allergic reaction to something, because it would be very, very dangerous for him. And woof, that mama bear came out a few times about that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking there about at the zoo and pushing the stroller. Like if you see a stroller with a little gap and then the mom, they're like, don't try to walk between there.
Oh, for sure. No.
You definitely want to go around, because the mom will be like, dude, why are you so close to my kid here?
Right.
And so all of that is good.
Yes.
All of that,
God gave us those instincts for a reason.
Yes. Yeah. But what Psalm 127:1 reminds us of is no matter how much we attempt to be protecting in our relationships, in our home, if God is not behind that, it's all in vain.
Right. Because frankly, as a mom, especially a mom of 5 kids, I mean, if you have 2 kids, you can't, well, even if you have 1 kid, you can't be with them 100% of the time.
No.
And there will be times that they are outside of your realm of protection. And so that is something that we need to recognize, and therefore depend on the Lord to protect them.
Right. So, I mean, we are called to be watchful.
Yes. Yes.
We are called to be, protecting.
Yeah.
But again, this comes back to the same thing we talked about the last episode. It comes down to trust. Where, in what are we trusting?
Yeah.
Because the lock on that doorknob is going to fail if somebody just puts a little bit of pressure on it.
Yeah.
So we need to be trusting in the Lord for his protection over us. And the example that he gives here in Psalm 127 is really kind of cool.
Yes. This isn't about living in fear, and that's something I fell into sometimes as a young mom is being very fearful of all the things in the world that could hurt you. But God did have, like, he's talking about the watchman here, and so he did have the watchman had a job to do. And
before we get into that, because something that you said just triggered this to me. We live in a time period now where there's this, I think I would just call it safeism, is very prevalent.
Yeah.
And we constantly, we have to be safe with everything. And let's just go there.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, like, during that time of the pandemic, safeism was on high alert. Just the fact that we had to stay home so much. And then
essential workers,
all of the concern over wearing masks and everything. And I know that I'm, maybe potentially making some people upset here, and that's not my intention. But if you just kind of carry that out to the logical conclusion of what was going on there, it was about constantly always making everyone perfectly safe. And that is a false goal.
It's 100% a false goal. And we saw that because even with all the efforts that people went to, there were still people that got injured.
Yes.
And people who died. And so there was so much emphasis on, if we just work hard enough, then we're going to be able to protect everybody's life. Yeah. And we just can't.
Now, the reality is we have to have common sense.
Yes, we do.
Like, for example, just for years, like long before.
Yes.
COVID and everything, whenever we had kids that were sick, they stayed home.
Yes.
Right? They're like, no, I feel fine. Cough, cough, cough. And I'm like, no, you're not going to go there and spread that and everything. So we use common sense, we use intelligence, but there is some level where we just can't control all the circumstances. And the only thing we can do is the best thing that we should have been doing from the beginning. And that is trusting the Lord that he is our protection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, now we can move on to our notes here, because last time we talked about the beginning phrase there of Psalm 127:1, unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain. And that speaks to God's provision for us, and that he is our provider. He is the one that provides all good things for us. And so today, the episode 2 out of the 4-part series is on the second half of verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's how important we think this is. We're breaking this down even into half a verse. But this is where it says, unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. All right. So the first part of verse 1 refers to building a home, building a family, building a business. And then the second part deals with your work and protection, because the watchman had a really important job.
He did. And something just came to mind, so I'm working through it, and I'm not sure if this is, so you correct me if
I'll say it. Go ahead.
But I'm also thinking like the watchman can see trouble coming,
right,
and sound the alarm if it needs to happen. The Lord can stop the trouble from coming, prevent the trouble from even ever appearing on the horizon. There was a song when I was young that talked about God's protecting me. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but God's protecting me even when I don't know it. One of the lines was something like, a reckless car ran out of gas before it came my way.
Yeah.
And it's like God is taking care of us in ways we don't even see.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's huge to remember that.
We've had times where we were wanting to get out the door and drive somewhere or whatever, and we were frustrated because it's probably one of the kids. Let's, we'll just blame them. But no, it just something was delaying us, and we were frustrated and really kind of angry about it and everything. And then you find out that, we were delayed by 5 or 10 minutes, and there was an accident on the highway 5 or 10 minutes before we got there. Yeah. And we're just like, okay, Lord, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the delays, because his protection comes in a lot of different forms. But that watchman, he had an essential job. And, we talk about, again, during that time of the pandemic, there were certain jobs that were deemed as essential, right? And that was something that, like, I could get on my soapbox about that. I think we are very much convinced that all work is essential, all work is important. And we didn't like that whenever they classified certain jobs.
Even though I bristled at that for sure.
Even though our jobs were considered essential because we were e-commerce sellers. And so it was important for us to be out there and finding product to provide for people who were buying it online so they could stay home.
Yeah.
But even at that, so, all work is essential. But this watchman, if you think about it, his job was to kind of be on the lookout to see if there was any enemy approaching. I suspect even like weather or something like that. They would just be watching out for anything. And then they could alert the people in the town that something was happening, and then they could respond accordingly.
Right. Alert the right people so they could do the right thing to deal with whatever threat was coming their way. So
I hope that every watchman took their job very seriously, that they worked really hard at it, that they stayed awake,
for sure,
and all that. So it's not like we're talking about some job that was like, if they decide not to show up, not a big deal. This would have been
a big deal. That's right. That's right. So I think that, kind of pairing that to where we live, of what the time period that we live in, we don't really have the watchman on the wall, around our town or anything. But, we can work hard. We can earn a good income. We can provide for the needs for our family. And if we do all that on our own strength, it's all in vain.
Yeah. So that watchman could put all of the effort into it. And if the Lord was not blessing that work, if the Lord was not alerting him to the things he needed to be alert to, then basically he was going to fail. It was going to be for nothing. Especially whenever you think about long term.
I think the success that the Lord wants us to have is deeper than that. It's deeper than just because, it would be wrong to say that you can't be successful according to the world standards without the Lord, because you can. Obviously, there are people who aren't following the Lord at all, who get lots of money and get lots of power and get lots of status and all that kind of thing. And it's possible that they feel really good about themselves for a little while. And it's possible that they, kind of begin to think very highly of themselves and that type of thing. But the kind of work that we're talking about here, the success that we want to have is a deeper meaning there. It's something that is much more satisfying because the Lord is the one who's working in this.
Because we can do all the right things.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of times here recently, we've even said, okay, we're doing all the things.
Yes. Yeah.
Implying we're doing all the right things. But whenever the results don't come, then we have to make a decision. Is that God pointing us a different way? Or is this just like, we're just doing what we're supposed to do and then we're trusting God for the results? So, you can do all the right things. You can be putting in all the right effort. But if you're doing it in your own strength and for your own goals and for your own ego, then the Lord's not in it, and it's not going to have that success according to God's definition.
Well, and frankly, it's meaningless.
It's just meaningless.
There's no meaning to it. If the Lord is not in it, then there's nothing that's going to last. It's all going to get burned up in the end. And
so really what we need to look to is the all of eternity, right? And that's hard sometimes because we're thinking, I got bills coming due next month. And so, yes, you do need to work hard. You do need to bring in income. All of that is a real thing. But overall, when we look at our entire life's work, it needs to be pointing people to Christ. It needs to be for all of eternity, and keeping that in mind instead of just thinking about these short-term goals. So from this we learned the importance of entrusting things to the Lord, the importance of devoting a significant amount of time into prayer so that we know what He would have us to do. And
that's how we are stating our acknowledgement that we are depending on Him.
Yes.
Is through the prayer that we pray. And so I think that I honestly think that some of the times that are that we would say are less than successful feeling to us, I think a big part of that is the Lord driving us back to Him, and Him saying, you've lost focus, you need to come back to me. And then things get peaceful again when we come back to Him. So that was off script.
No, that's good stuff though. It's so easy to lose focus and to try to do things in our own strength. So don't do it. And we've been there way more times than what we would like to admit, but those are pointless is another word. Yeah. I don't think that we've used it yet.
All the things that mean vain, pointless, meaningless,
empty.
Empty, all the things. Yeah. Yes. Causing burnout, all that kind of thing. So don't let that happen to you. Don't keep the Lord in it. Keep depending on Him. Keep looking to Him as your provider and your protector.
And so another couple of really good verses that kind of speak to this. You got those from Colossians chapter 3.
Yeah, was it 23 and 24? All right, here's what they say. They say, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. Whew, those are some powerful verses.
Yeah. I think especially people that are listening who are business owners. I mean, I think anybody who's listening probably works really hard.
Oh, yeah.
Business owners, we're a different breed. It's just, especially at the beginning, there's this hustle stage. Maybe you've got a 9-to-5 job and you're doing a side hustle. So I'm sure that you're working hard. That's generally not really the concern. We're not generally saying, hey, you're being lazy.
Right. No.
It's just a matter of, are you working in the right way? Are you seeking out the Lord's guidance on what He would have you to do, what direction He'd have you to take with the business, like big picture and little picture? So that's really what we are talking about here when we talk about that watchman who had that really important job. But if he was trying to do it in his own strength, it was vanity. But when the Lord was in it, then he would be successful.
Yeah. And so we've alluded to this a little bit already. So that means that as you're working, work heartily as unto the Lord. So when you are serving your clients or your customers, serve the Lord by serving your clients and customers. That gives it a whole new twist and gives it a whole new level of honor. You're doing noble work, you're doing honorable work. And so doing that as a way to serve the Lord, that just brings it home, brings the truth of that home.
Yeah. So the Lord is our provider.
Yeah.
The Lord is our protector. And the next time you'll want to come back and hear this one, because we're going to talk about how God is the one who provides peace. If you are dealing with anxiety, burnout, overwhelm, you need to come back and listen to the next one, because we're too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Just come back and listen.
You're probably looking for peace, and we're going to point you to it next time.
Yes.
So we should say, if you enjoyed this, give us a like, maybe even subscribe. And boy, if you take the time to leave us a review, we would so appreciate that. It's really a challenge to get people to actually type out that they like what they heard. So if you're willing to do that, or drop a comment and we'll respond to it here below. If you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple, or I don't know where else we are. But anyway, leave all the comments and everything. And in the meantime, take everything that you've learned today and go build your dream business
side by side.
See ya.